Ramses the Great, aka Ramses II, was an Egyptian king that ruled from 1279 to 1213 BC. Born around 1303 BC, Ramses II was the son of the pharaoh Seti and his wife Tuya. Ramses the Great had health problems. Arthritis and arterial issues may have contributed to the end of the life of Ramses II, but he had accomplished much in his time. No pharaoh ever surpassed the building achievements of Ramses II. The most famous of his constructions are his temple at Abydos, his funerary temple known as the Ramesseum at Thebes, and the great rock-cut temple at Abu Simbel in Nubia. Ramses the Great also led the Egyptian army against several enemies, including the Hittites, Syrians, Libyans, and Nubians. In the battle, Ramses fought the Hittites near the city of Kadesh. Pylon is the Greek word for the entrance of an Egyptian temple. The pylon is inscribed with images showing Ramses' victories over the Hittites in war and the following peace treaty which happened. This pylon, along with other inscriptions and temples created during Ramses II's reign, shows that this pharaoh wanted to be remembered for his influence on military, political, and religious life. Ramses, an ancient city in the Nile Delta, was made by Ramses II and used for his campaigns in Syria. This city is mentioned in the Bible as a place where Israelites were forced to work for the pharaoh. Ramses the Great military impact. Ramses II was very known for numerous military and became one of the most famous Egyptian pharaohs known for military strength. Ramses II's army was 100,000 men strong, huge for that period in time. Ramses II's most famous battle is the Battle of Kadesh, which took place at the city of Kadesh, which is situated in present-day Syria. Fought in 1274 BC against the Hittites, it was the largest chariot battle in history. Ramses made a tactical error in the fight by dividing his forces, causing one of his divisions to be swept away. Eventually, none of the parties gained victory, and Ramses had to retreat because of logistic difficulties. The religious impact that Ramses II had on Egypt is not to be overlooked either. After reigning for 30 years, Ramses II celebrated the Set Festival, which is where the king was turned into a god. Ramses II defaced the monuments of previous reigning dynasties, which has fallen out of favor, and sought to return Egypt's religion to how it was before the reign of Akhenaten. He also tried to change religion. Since the people of Egypt worshipped Ramses II as a god, it also helped to ensure that his son, who was at the point of the commander of the army, would rise to power following his death, without anyone trying to seize the throne. As much debated issue of religion in history alike is Exodus, known as the departure of Israelites from Egypt. This event is considered to have happened under the reign of Ramses II. Whether it happened or not, as the story tells us, scientists found evidence for the existence of the notorious 10 plagues of Egypt, or at least the first 9 of them. The events do show a link to the capital city of High Ramses and the grueling period Egypt crossed under the rule of Ramses II. Ramses the Great was buried in the Valley of Kings, but had to be replaced because of looting. After a detour, his mummy was moved to a tomb 320 located near Deir el-Bahari, where it would be safe from tomb robbers. In 1881, his body was discovered there and moved to Cairo's Egyptian Museum. This mummy learns us Ramses II was rather short for an ancient Egyptian, 5'7", 170 centimeters. It also shows us his hooked nose and wounds and fractures incurred in battle. In 1974, the mummy was brought to Paris because it needed treatment for a fungal infection. Fun fact, Ramses II, or Ramses the Great, ruled Egypt during the 13th century BC and was regarded by many as the most powerful pharaoh of Egyptian empire.